Now, 5 new confirmed cases on the 19th of March 2020 brings to 16. The 5 were reported from the Greater Accra region. Now, let's get into details of the background of these 5 new cases. 29-year-old Ghanaian lady resident here in Accra, no history of travel, sample confirmed positive in the laboratory. There's also a 34-year-old Ghanaian lady resident of Accra, had contacts of a confirmed case at place of work. Sample confirmed positive also in the laboratory. And then there's a 53-year-old Ghanaian male resident of Tema. No travel history, no evidence of close contact with a confirmed case. His sample was also positive from the laboratory. And there's a 41-year-old Ghanaian male who arrived in Ghana by KLM on the 15th of March, indicated exposure with family members in Amsterdam, exhibiting respiratory symptoms, and also on the flight with some passengers sneezing and coughing. His sample confirmed positive. There's a 36-year-old Ghanaian male resident of Paris in France who arrived in, the date he arrived in Ghana is not confirmed. No evidence of contact with an infected person. And that all brings to total 16 the confirmed cases in Ghana with no death. Contact tracing, we're told, has been initiated in all these confirmed cases. So the total number of coronavirus cases confirmed as of today, as we speak, is 16 from the Ghana Health Service. We will bring you a lot of details, well, the necessary details when we do get from the Ghana Health Service, but we know that the total, the world picture now, coronavirus deaths top 10,000 globally. We know the worst hit is Italy. China is recording yesterday no record of new cases. We will get into the global picture in a bit, but take the necessary precautions. What we've been told, if you can't lay your hands on a sanitizer, the basic thing is to wash your hands with soap and running water. If you're sneezing, make sure you do so in a tissue and get rid of the tissue properly in a closed dustbin. If you're feeling ill, sick, please stay away. And if you've just traveled and returned, kindly keep yourself away for 14 days. That's what we've been told. So we will come back with a lot more on the tips on what you necessarily must do in these times to protect yourself. But just so we know, the news this morning is that our cases have risen to 16. And that's the confirmation from the Ghana Health Service website. Confirmed cases as of 20th March 2020 stands at 16. Oh, yeah, so here on News Desk in Ghana, more than 5 million people, or about 18% of the population, rely on surface water to meet their daily water needs, leaving them vulnerable to water-related illness and disease. Further, 81% of Ghanaians lack access to improved sanitation or are entirely without toilet facilities. The majority of households without access to safe water and sanitation lack the upfront funds needed to invest in their own solutions. Consequently, those living in poverty often pay up to 10 times more per litre for water service from private vendors than their middle-class counterparts connected to pipe water services. These water costs can be reduced through investment in improved household water assets such as connections, rainwater harvesting equipment, wells and latrines. Unfortunately, these equipment or these require upfront investment that, without access to financing, are unrealistic for most of these people. The Ghana Water Company paints a grim picture of how climate change and human activities are affecting water bodies that serve as primary source for their plant. Nanaya Berima Bani is Western Regional Communications Manager of the company.
If you look at the color of the water, it tells you that we have a lot of silt inbuilt, and we also have the turbidity very high. So even if you draw the water, you are going to take part of it, you are going to throw part of it away, because you have a lot of silt, or the turbidity is very high, and we need to maintain our standards. So you might draw as we used to do during the rainy season, but because of the turbidity, about 15% of the water had to be thrown away in order to be able to get the water clean for consumption. Hopefully by the close of the week, the dredging would have been completed. We've done, let's say, about 45% of the dredging. We're hoping by Friday we should be through with the dredging, and we'll have enough water to produce. And we are hoping that production is going to improve, and the water situation in town will also improve. Normally, our average production per day, a cubic meter, is about 1.2 cedis a day. Currently, we need to apply more chemical. We run our equipment. Electricity is high, but the production is low. So if you do the computation, we are doing about 2 cedis per cubic meter. Okay. Then we also have this galamsey issue where we have a lot of silt inbuilt in the intake site. As this galamsey activities is going on, it brings along a lot of silt, and they come to deposit at our intake. So we need to take these silts out so that we can get a lot of water to be able to produce. We should also know that now, because of the dry season, we're not getting inflows. So the water that we have there, as we draw, definitely it will go down. So that is the situation that we find ourselves in now.
And that's Engineer Vincent Opokuwari-Dako with the Ghana Water Company in the Western region. We're talking about climate change, water security, and the way forward. So in studio, I have Head of Groundwater Division of the CSIR, Dr. Anthony Dua. He's also a Senior Research Scientist. Also in the studio is Mr. Jesse Kofi Danko from WaterAid Ghana. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. So first off, you can paint the challenges to us, particularly in the communities.
Exactly. So we are confronted with a challenge where you have surface waters are drying out. You have many communities that have access to safe water, or in the event that they even have, sometimes because of flooding, the sources are contaminated and become unusable. So you are faced with a situation where you see many communities resorting to dig out their own improvised way of accessing water. And we are talking of, under the SDG, we are talking of a universal access to all Ghanaians by 2030. So the question we need to ask ourselves whether we are delivering on that, ensuring that by that time we'll be able to meet the demand of the populace so that they can gain access to safe water.
Fortunately, Dr. Dua is here, so perhaps I'll throw that question to you.
Right. I think as a country, you know, I always say this, that we shouldn't have problem with water because we have enough water that is flowing through, you know, on the land surface and through our rivers and lakes and all that. Unfortunately, we are not, you know, taking good care of the water. So a lot of things happen, and the water quality is in the situation where you cannot use that. So when it gets to that point, then you realize that you need to spend a lot of money treating the water before you can use it. And in normal circumstance, raw water quality should have, you know, it should be in a range where at least minimal treatment, or sometimes you can even use them, because you remember of old, you know, whilst our parents used to go to farms, they almost drink from the rivers directly. These days, if you try that, you will not live long, because of a lot of things that we're doing to ourselves, and especially to the environment. And then this time we talking about water security. UN has always, you know, advocated that March 22nd, that is coming Sunday, it's a World Water Day every year. And we celebrate that to bring awareness to the fact that water is without substitution. You know, and water is life. We can all live with a lot of things, without a lot of things, but not with water. So at the end of the day, our water everybody should have access to water. But we are in a situation where we have a lot of water on the land, yet people are not getting water to use because of the situation the water in. The water comes in all forms, but we have to look at the safe water as well. Now this year, the theme is climate change, water and climate change. And we know what climate change has done to us.
Coupled with activities of Galamsey.
Exactly. So basically you are looking for, let's call that a natural phenomenon. So, we have very little to do with that, except that we could try to do a lot of adaptation and mitigation measures so that we can be able to live with it. But coupled with, like you said, things that we do to ourselves, what we are putting in the system, the anthropogenic activities, human activities that is coming also in addition to that. So when you put all these things together, now we are looking at the future. What does the future hold for us as a country? There's some of these things we need to put a stop to them. And I think that...
But can we stop climate change?
No. As I said, no. That is why I said natural phenomenon. We can always mitigate the measures. And also our response to climate change. That's why we talk about adaptation. So if you realize that this is what is going to happen, then you adapt yourself to that. So in the face of these things, what can we do ourselves? So that is fine. We can deal with that. But what about the other things that are happening, the anthropogenic, human activities? We're talking about Galam. So you look at the water and the way things are happening. These are things that we can stop, because naturally with climate change, we are talking about high temperatures. The temperatures are projected to go up. And then also rainfalls are projected to come down. Data will show that, within the last 30, 50 years, rainfall pattern has come down. So we're looking at a population that is also going up. So if you have a system that, assuming the water quantity in the whole system is constant, you are having the situation where your water supply is going down.
Sure.
You are having the population going up, so more people are now going to share very few amount of water.
Okay.
So what do we do?
So I guess because we're talking also about security, then now we have to explore the other ways of getting water. And I want to bring into the borehole idea, where a lot of people are trying to, those who can afford, because it can be very expensive. So explore that avenue for us. Mr.
Yes, so we at WaterAid, realizing that in the near future we'll have severe impact of climate change, have started doing some activities, first by developing water security plans with the districts, where we bring all the stakeholders together to dialogue and understand the impact that climate change will have on it. Because we are asking on boreholes, it depends on the availability of the water resource. And if the source is even contaminated, because some of these surface water that you see are recharge areas for the groundwater, you may not know. So if it's polluted or contaminated, it goes back to contaminate the groundwater. So that is one thing we have done. We are also embarking on a climate change campaign, and we are saying that the first line of defense for climate change is safe water. So we want everybody to have that realization. And if you go into government's strategies on even their nationally intended what do they call it? Determined contribution, which they have signed on to from the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. They are saying that they want to do some investment. Government is talking about 22 point something billion cedis. So it means that we need to plan ahead of time and involve everybody. Most often we develop these policies and we don't involve the community members because they are the beneficiary. And of course, they are not even creating the climate change issues, but they suffer the most. So for groundwater, the most important thing is that we need to build capacity for people to do the right thing.
Okay.
And I'm glad to announce that Water Resources Commission has started something that to license all drillers to have permit. But as to whether they are really implementing that, with the assumption that once you have the permit, then you know the right thing to do when you are constructing a borehole. Because if the borehole is not constructed well, once there is runoff, you can still get that contamination.
Okay, and I Doc, you find this interesting or worrying? Because there's a smile on your face.
Yeah, when you talk about groundwater, I mean, that's the business I do basically. I've been doing this for so many years, and the problems that confront us are things that I always say we can always deal with. Groundwater is safe in terms of availability, because we are talking about a top soil that is protecting it. You know, unlike the surface water that is always exposed to the atmosphere. So directly, if there's a lot of temperature, what do you call it, the temperature rise, you know, evaporation will also rise. So more water will be evaporated into the atmosphere. And also when we're talking about land degradation, so it will affect directly, you know. But when you talk about groundwater, because it's buffered by, you know, a good amount of soil and rock, so it's kind of protected. But sometimes, like my brother was saying, these groundwaters are recharged by rainfall. There are areas that we call the recharge areas. So the water goes there, and then they seep through the ground and store. Most of the water the groundwater we are using have been accumulated there for years and decades, because the flow of groundwater in rocks is very, very slow, depending on where it is.
So I get the sense that climate change effectively is also affecting even groundwater.
Yes, it will, definitely, because at the end of the day, all water is recharged by rainfall. So if rainfall reduces, except that you're looking at how much is there, how much is being used. Because in this country, we don't use much, because if you compare us to most other places where groundwater is a main source of irrigation, you know, a lot of groundwater is used. You go to the Middle East there, I mean, most of it's a desert place, and they depend on groundwater. So get to a point when they realize that, no, we are using too much.
So is the raw groundwater safe?
It is not always safe, because it exists within the rock and also within the soil. It means that these rocks are different rocks. You know, we're talking about rock formation, geology. We have different types of rocks, and they all have different minerals. So water passing through them will wash away the minerals. So when you do a drilling and then you get your groundwater, the first thing you do is to take your sample to the lab, so that you do the water quality analysis. Then it will tell you the state of your water, whether you can drink it directly, whether you have to treat it or not. Because look at all the areas in this country, especially along this area, the coastal areas, there are a lot of problems that we have with salt. And then other places we have iron, manganese, fluoride in the north and other parts of the country. There are other parameters that these we need to. But a lot of people do borehole, they don't even.
So I just wanted to ask Mr. Danko, because he's been doing a lot of ground work as well, how many of these people actually go through the process, take it to the lab like he outlined?
We ensure that is the first thing to do before we developed. We have moved away essentially from just putting the hand pumps on the boreholes to mechanizing them and taking them to other healthcare facilities, school or community. So what we do is that we test the borehole, and sometimes we do the testing for 3 times, just to be sure that the quality we are dealing with, it's safe. Because sometimes the quality can even, there is a degradation, it goes down, or it becomes worse even when you start pumping. So, and we were working in a difficult area where we have a high fluoride content. So we make sure that this thing is done 2 or 3 times to confirm the quality before we will develop them. We have also trained the communities as to what to do in terms of ensuring the water. And it's a policy of Water Aid that even after we have developed these systems, we go back and check the quality again at the fetching points to ensure that what we really provided for the community, it's safe for a very long time.
So usually do community members understand the changes in climate?
Yeah, so as part of our water security plan, we involve largely the community. So they are doing the rainfall monitoring using rain gauge, and some are also doing the groundwater level monitoring. Because if you involve them at that stage and they are seeing it themselves, then it becomes easier for them to adopt the acceptable ways that, like Tony was saying, because some of these things are caused by human activities, cutting of the forest, degradation, deforestation, and all those kind of things, dumping sites and all that. They are caused by human beings. So it is important for them to understand what they are. I mean, once they see what is happening, then they begin to appreciate it, and it's easier for them to have that behavior change to adopt them.
Because usually they don't link their activities directly to the fact that they are not finding water, or the water they see is not healthy.
Exactly.
Okay, so the last time you were on Newsfile, again, very soon we could be buying water. And I was telling myself, okay, we've had that. How close are we to that?
I thought we are buying water already. Well, I'm talking about drinking water. So basically, most of people now are buying water to drink, even though Ghana Water still provide very good water for us through our taps, you know. But a lot of them, sometimes because of challenges, you know, these things are. It's always difficult to say this, but you know, these are realities that we need to face. As a country, we are not helping ourselves. You know, if you look at this Galamsey business, it's really taking a lot of toll. You know, you just show the news item, Western Region, Daboase. You know, the last time we went to Daboase, 2013 or so, there was no water to take. The whole of the intake place was silted. You know, so that the sands filled the place, and you had people manually trying to dig the sand into boats and carry them away so that the place can get water to flow there. You know, and so this is happening not only there, a lot of other places. You look at Ghana water data, most of these areas
It sounds like we haven't seen progress with all the advocacy, with all the initiatives that have been taken. Are we seeing some kind of progress, at least from where you sit?
If you look at the data, you would see that it went from bad to worse up to 2016 there, and then since then, you know, because of the ban that was placed on illegal mining, the situation became okay. It became, things really was going down. The bad situation was getting off. And then the data will show that, you know, turbidity levels came down drastically. You know, the whole of 2017 was fine. 2018, a little bit of, you know, some places where it went up, and then, but it came down. But then, since the end of 2018, 2019, we are still seeing that the turbidity levels are now going up again. That's what we were showing the other time. I have some data here. If you're going to look through them, you'll see that it is now going up again because, you know, we are still not able to monitor them. You know, the people that are supposed to be doing that thing, and there are a lot of people who are doing the illegal things. You know, it's a very difficult thing to do.
So I guess it's very complicated because, like you said, we can't control climate change.
Yeah.
But even the thing that we can control,
we are not.
We're not. So it kind of just.
Yeah. So it sums at the whole situation that we are not, you know, in good place with.
So I guess finally we can talk about, in view of all the what we have outlined, how then do we ensure security?
Okay, I'll start from the government. So we are calling on the government to honor their promises that they have said in their climate adaptation strategy and the nationally determined contribution that they want to make resource internally and externally 22-point-something billion cedis to invest in developing capacities. Because in the first place, we need the internal capacities to even understand these challenges, to be able to keep our water safe for people to use. Because Ghana, if you talk of climate change, generally they will define as drought, prolonged drought, and flooding. Yeah, this is what we know. And we are also linking this to our sanitation. This is a situation we are talking about, community-led 2008, when we are asking every household to construct their toilets that are not lined. So during flooding, you can imagine the effects that it will have. Maybe some of these toilets are washed away and it can create problems. So it is better we invest and come out with credit facilities for our communities so that when they are building climate resilient toilets that endure the changing climatic. And government should, because I'm happy government says that it is to at least make increase 20% access to safe water. So if this is their objective, then it calls for huge financial investment. At this time, we shouldn't wait until we get to that precarious situation before we. Let us build the systems now. If there are systemic challenges, let us deal with them, have internal capacities, and carry the communities along for them to be aware of the impacts that it can have on them.
Okay, great. Dr. Dia, what practical steps can we take to ensure water security?
No, the best thing to do right now is to make sure that we control what we can control, okay? And controlling these things, like my brother said, involves a lot of funding. You know, the people that are doing this work, most of the time, don't have the money to do that. You know, we used to do monitoring. At a point, you didn't have money, you stopped. Once in a while, we gather money from people who also come and help. Then we go around and do the checking and then analysis, take samples and analyze them. You know, so when we don't have money, we don't do that. But people expect these things to be done. So, like my brother said, WRC, the Water Resource Commission, they are in charge of the water resources of this country. And then we talked about licensing and all these things. The rules and then the regulations are there. But even getting funds to get people to monitor them, making sure that these people are licensed, that they have the right personnel. Because if you get licensed, it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. There's a lot of things they are supposed to do. They should get proper people, technology, you know, hydrogeological technicians or hydrogeologists to be on site. They know exactly what to be done. Okay, if you buy a rig and then you take it to the field and start drilling borehole, doesn't mean that that is it. It's not everywhere you drill that you get water. You know, and then even when you get water, what type of water are you getting? So we should get the right people, you know, the right geoscientists to be doing these things, and then we make sure that they bring the data. They are supposed to bring data back because it's going to improve the geology, you know.
So data for
research and analysis. But we are not getting these things because people are doing indiscriminate borehole drilling all over the place. So, and then we talk about science and research and all that. There's no money to do these things. We need money to do this. If we are serious about these things, we have to put monies to these things so that the right things are done. Then we can lead and guide that this is what we need to do. Water Commission has buffer buffer areas. All rivers are supposed to be buffered about 100 meters or so. Go to the field. It is not like that.
But who is monitoring?
Who is doing that? You know, people are cutting trees all over. The trees are supposed to protect the land and protect the rivers. Because when the water fall, the temperature falls directly on the water, it evaporates faster. But the trees will protect it and keep it over a long time. The dams, are we protecting them? So we need funds to do these things. And a lot of money has to go there. But when they are not there, it becomes very difficult to do the work that we're supposed to do.
So as you know, we count down to World Water Day. Practically for people, for individuals and persons, what can they also do in their own small ways?
Okay, so people can also adopt rain harvesting technologies because in Ghana we waste so much rainfall. Some developed countries will tell that the next world war will be fought over water. And people are creating artificial aquifers where they are redirecting their rainfall. So we are not doing those sort of things. So at household level, we can think of using rainwater and ensuring that the quality of water we have, we don't just waste it. We also try to maintain the quality. Whatever we do as individuals, we always talk at water. We always talk about the behavior change. What am I throwing into the environment? What impact does it have in the environment? Sometimes, if even the soil adaptive capacity, it's exhausted. It cannot absorb anything again. So we must take responsibility for that as individuals, that whatever I throw into the environment goes somewhere. And we also say that don't defecate openly, because these are, when it rains, it is washed into the surface water. And some people depend on this surface water. Like we said, that some could also be recharge areas. So let's avoid polluting the environment, because all this, we are talking about scarcity of water. So even if we get the water, we want to get it very safe. The quality should be acceptable.
Okay.
So people should adopt those positive behavior so as to keep our water safe.
Okay. Dr. Dua, finally, the boreholes that we have, how often should we do the quality checks?
Let me say, you know, when you drill a borehole, first of all, you do that. They don't normally change, but let's put it maybe in a matter of 6 months, you have to do that. But if you are using it for commercial purposes, because then you take a lot of water, so things can change very fast. You know, and most of the water we have selling on the streets far from boreholes. A good number of them are from boreholes. About 80% of them are from boreholes. So it means that you need to check. The first, normally they do the first ones and get approval from FDA, and then they put their stamp on it, and that's it. Most of the time they don't do it again, which is bad. Every batch is supposed to be tested because you don't know what's inside, especially something that is going inside somebody. Make sure that we don't.
So let me just quickly follow up and ask. So for me as a recipient, because I don't know where the water is coming from, but I suspect it's borehole, and I don't know if it's been tested or not. What should I do to it as the consumer?
It's difficult because as a consumer, let's say you bought water from the street. You know, there's no way you are going to find a lab to test it before you drink it. You know, so for us, what we should be careful the type of water we purchase. We should be very sure about the brand that we are buying, because not all of them are doing the right things.
Okay, but I was even imagining the tanks, those who supply us at home.
Mostly, I would say mostly because people don't drink directly. If you are drinking the tank, then you have to be very, very careful, because then you have a large number of amount of water in your tank that you're going to use over a period of time. The best thing is to do, if you are not too sure, take a sample and take it to a water research institute, and they will do a sample.
Individuals can just walk into CSIR and test the water that they're using.
For a charge. So people come there every day. There are a lot of people running. If you go there now, you see a lot of samples that are coming there. So you can test it, and then you be sure that. Now, there are some few other treatment things that are coming up. We are working with other individuals and companies who are trying to provide us some devices that we can put in your tank that will purify the water. We have some other devices that you pass the water through, takes away almost everything, just like the kidney is doing that. We are working with some agencies on that. Very soon we are going to display a hub at CSI Water Research to show the water treatment options that we have.
Okay,
some
great.
of them will be very cheap for people to use.
Okay, all right. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time. And I wonder what we should do on Water Day as individuals in our homes. What's the expectation in observation of the day?
Use water wisely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I also want to say that take responsibility for the water you drink. If I'm buying a particular brand, nothing prevents me from visiting their factory. Once in a while, let's go there and see what they are doing.
Okay.
What filters are they using? Even if it's from the tanker, rely on a specific one and take responsibility. Check whether he washes the tank often or those kind of. We can do that.
Great tip.
But when
Thank
we
you.
change from one brand to the other, then it becomes very
I think
right.
to make it easier to also to let the people who are supposed to do this thing to work.
Yeah.
If the people who are supposed to be checking out doing this, then individuals will not be running around. You may not even know where the factory is. So the authorities that are charged to make sure that they are giving us good water, let's make sure that they are working. And
Thank you,
if they
sir.
need money, let's provide the money for them.
All right.
to
Thank
work.
you, gentlemen, for your
Thank
time.
you.
welcome.
Now, let's go to Parliament, because the minority there say it will go to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation of Article 104 of the Constitution after the House approved a request by government to pass the imposition of restriction bill under a certificate of urgency. The Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee voted yesterday by a 10-5 majority to rush the bill through the House. The plenary approved the committee's report after 3 hours of heated debate.
If we want to put aside our standing orders and the Constitution, because Article 104 says so, because we take an objection to the fact that the leader will tell us that people were walking into. So don't report. You have 169 members. Where are they? Where are they? So if you don't have numbers to take a decision, don't force it. Mr. Speaker, we are going to insist on a recording, because we'll challenge this matter in court and the ruling. We will. Because
the outcome of the vote. Thereafter, you have referred the matter back to the committee. So we've gone past that. Where we are, Mr. Speaker, if anybody wants to challenge what you have done, the person must come with a substantive motion. That is what the rule provides. And go to the coffee shop. The people are there. Go there. They are there. When you deliberately evacuate the chamber.
Well, Majority Leader Haruna Idrisu says there were not enough members of Parliament in the House to give the green light, but Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu accused the minority MPs of deliberately exiting the chamber.
But this bill is intended to provide a broad framework to deal with future occurrences of a similar nature. Mr. Speaker, if you are intending to lay a framework to deal with future emergencies, I think it is only fitting and proper to take steps to build a resilient legal system, a resilient regime to deal with that. And that's why we ought not to take this under a state of emergency. Under a certificate of agency. Mr. Speaker, the second most important point is that this bill, in the way that it has come to this House, clearly excludes many requirements that must conform to the Constitution. The requirement that the fundamental rights of the citizens of this country must be respected and upheld at all times.
And that's rather Inusa Hussaini and not the majority leader of parliament. We'll bring you business after this. Volumes at the Kotoka International Airport taking a dip amid the coronavirus outbreak. We've got details of that in business.
Now, people have besieged the KNUST Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences faculty in desperate search for hand sanitizers. The development has led to the patrons acquiring the commodity at a slightest higher price. Love FM's Chrissy Deborah has more in this report.
Following reports of cheaper hand sanitizers being sold at the KNUST Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences faculty, people thrown to the place to get a bottle. Though initial reports of 600 milliliters of hand sanitizers going for 15 cedis were later found to be untrue, the patrons were overwhelming.
Buy probably 5 bottles, and the reason is I trust my faculty, I trust my people. I know that they're going to use the best of ingredients, the best of formulation, so that's why.
When I came, I can see the quantity is less. And people are here. We have a lot of people around who are even trying to get some and they are not getting. So we are still waiting in case we'll get.
Okay, so over there, I think they are selling bigger bottles for a different price and then smaller ones for a different price. But then you can see over there, the bigger ones have longer queues. You get it, and then the smaller ones has this, let me say, shorter queues. So I decided to join the shorter one to get the smaller ones. It will be very difficult to get the bigger ones looking at the number. So I joined the smaller ones to get 3 bottles home. So that is why I got the smaller. This is actually 10 cedis for one.
Okay, for their price, their normal prices as compared to the first price. So I think the ones here are okay. They are cheaper than the ones out also.
Professor Berko Penyanto is Dean of the faculty.
Well, for more than 1 year now, the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, we have a production unit that is into all kinds of products. Sanitizers, disinfectants, washing soaps, cleaning soaps, and all that, and all things. So our standards are good. So we said that let's now produce in large quantities.
All right, and that's it for business. Tech Talk and Sports up next. Stay tuned.
All right, so you're welcome to Tech and Sports. So there's George Adejina, there's Spike Nkrumah here. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Yes, yes.
Oh, a lot of the sporting people are taking advantage of technology to do things.
Yeah, we are. I told you that the press conference that was handled by UEFA was a video conference. Nobody came into a room. They did everything via video. So we need a lot of these things. So we're working hand in hand, and we're trying to limit contact as possible. So as we try to brainstorm through when the dates will be happening, because I think there's also going to be a meeting by CAF, there's going to be a meeting by CONMEBOL, all in trying to map out how we can see football come back.
Spiky, tours are being cancelled.
Yes.
Musicians, obviously because of coronavirus, everybody's trying to turn attention to something else. Tell us what's been happening.
Basically, you know,
and what is Twitch?
So Twitch actually was launched as a gaming streaming platform. So people who play video games who want to stream it online for people to watch. Now, it's financially focused, so those who stream can make money from it, from subscriptions and donations. Now, musicians have turned to Twitch because they can have a concert online. So you can go to a Spiky concert, I'll be playing music, and then you can jam in your room, and then you can donate money, or you basically your subscription, I get paid. People could have used Instagram and the rest, but they wouldn't be making money. So that's why they're turning to Twitch, because it seems as a more financially viable, because that's how these musicians make money. You're either selling records or people come to your shows. So Twitch it is.
Yeah, but sticking with that, there's a feature that you're going to be watching shortly on JoyNews. It's about what's happening to the bettors, the boys who do the betting. It's a critical area, so I'm excited when you mentioned Twitch and the online games.
Yes.
Because it's now all about virtual games, because there are no games being played across Europe, and you have to make money. So I went to a number of betting halls, met some of the bettors, and they told me, Guy, this is all we've got to do now. No club is playing, so we are doing the virtual stuff. So maybe you understand a bit of the
virtual betting.
Virtual betting. So they are virtually betting on video games. I think that they have to make money. That's the point.
I mean, esports has become a thing.
That's interesting. That's also something new in Microsoft.
Well, so everyone's staying at home because of self-quarantining and social distancing. And Microsoft has a software or service called Teams, which allows people to work remotely. So you can work in your house, have meetings in your house, all via video conferencing. And they noticed a huge boost after the whole pandemic. So they've got about 10 million new users. So that means that they have to introduce new features like noise suppression. So let's say you're at home and your kids are making noise in the background. Microsoft has introduced a new AI software that can suppress background noise so people can hear you better. And then how to basically make people interact without blocking others. Imagine if we're not in the same room and we're all talking, who knows who's about to speak, and we're all trying to speak. So the system now suppresses someone's voice to make someone be heard. A lot of new features that Microsoft is introducing. That's very, very interesting.
People are getting creative in these times. I like that.
We need that a lot. I don't want to cite another media house, even though it's an international media house. Maybe I can, because our partners, BBC, I've seen them do that a lot. I've seen a lot of the sports presenters. I did a round the table discussion with the BBC's John Murray and Simon Stone, and they're virtually connected from home. They didn't need to stay anywhere. So they're little gadgets, so they had to sit around the table at home, and they went straight into it.
Sometimes you need something to help you plug in. So let's talk about Spectrum.
Yes.
And how somebody's making that available for free.
So basically, now that a lot of people are home, there's a huge demand on voice and data in other parts of the world. So companies like the telcos in the United States have come together, and they're trying to basically increase availability of spectrum. Now, Dish, which is a company that gives satellite connectivity to these people, is lending these networks spectrum. Now that means that basically it's broadening their 4G LTE spectrum so that it can be faster.
So it's not absolutely it's free. It's borrowing.
Because right now it seems that you need to help. The situation is dire, so everyone needs to lend a helping hand. And Dish says, hey, we have the spectrum, so we can lend you guys some
George, I wonder who is helping us out, because we still have very slow internet.
Yes.
I mean, you can't do what some of the others are doing. You talk about the BBC.
Yeah, the BBC, yes.
I mean, I couldn't simply Skype with you this morning.
Yeah. We need to help each other. I think we must find a way. Maybe help is on its way. We're yet to see Ghanaian players come out and donate some cash.
Like the others are doing.
We can't put a lot of pressure on them, but at least we know that the Black Stars captain, Andre Ayew, has issued a statement, a solidarity, in saying that, look, we have to fight together, we have to make this work. It's in line with the other players who were able to do so via technology. Ibrahimovic was at home, and he put out a video. We've seen Ronaldo's video, we've seen Gary Neville's video, we've seen Peter Crouch's video. So we have quite a number of them. And like you've seen,
I've seen some players who also have hotels.
Yes, some
giving it out
like
for health workers.
Yeah, for health workers. So that they can self-isolate if they need to, they can quarantine if they need to, and so they can take care of themselves. So it's just about holding each other's hands, going through whether sports or tech. We have to work, and I like the way it's fitting. It's almost intertwined in trying to make things work and make things work out.
And then just finally, YouTube is also trying so hard so people can get the right coronavirus information.
Because misinformation right now is causing a lot of panic. A lot of people are getting scared, and basically, you know, the whole toilet roll situation.
Yeah.
So YouTube is
and we're still asking, so with the toilet roll, like, what's
one
really?
person started it.
We understand the sanitizer, but the toilet roll?
It's going to become a very, you know, serious issue. But basically, YouTube has decided that it has to display trustworthy coronavirus content so people can find it. So when you log on to YouTube, as much as possible, you're going to find the legit content on coronavirus, so you get informed and not think that toilet roll is running out.
All right. Okay, guys, it's a Friday. I mean,
Friday, look forward to the feature.
Things are a bit slow. We look forward to the feature. But just in seconds, what's your tip on coronavirus as we wrap up, George?
I think the social distancing thing is critical, especially what we do in the trotros. So I don't know how we can meet the drivers halfway. If we can meet them halfway, if we can give them some money so that we can move from 4 on a seat to 3 on a seat. I don't know how to
Spiky?
I'm trying to distance myself.
Oh, so yours is also social distancing.
But then you are
my number one is wash your hands. If you don't have sanitizer, don't worry. The basic thing really is for you to keep washing your hands under running water. From us, we thank you for joining us. Enjoy the weekend. Try and do something fun at home with the family. And please be safe.